you guys. And I think up first, I'm going to invite Antonio. Antonio, yeah.
How's everybody doing? Give it up for that band, man. They rocking. Yeah. It's a beautiful day. In the neighborhood. A beautiful day with my neighbors. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? Won't you be my neighbor? Hello, everybody.
Hello, Antonio.
Tonight, I'm going to recite some poetry. Can you say poetry?
Poetry?
Good. Now, poetry is the art or work of a poet, characterized by figurative language. Can you say figurative language?
Figurative language.
Excellent. Now, a poem, as you may know, is a written or verbal composition with the power to engage feelings and imagination through a highly structured patterning and movement of sound, rhythm, and most importantly, meaning. Can you say meaning?
Meaning.
You don't really know me, man. You think you know me? You look at me and you say, hey, look at this guy. Well, say hello to Antonio. You see, I'm New York. That's a Puerto Rican from the city of New York. I am African. I am Arawak. I am Dutch. I am Taino, the indigenous. I am Puerto Rico. I am salsa, the kind I eat, the kind I listen to, the kind I play, the kind I dance to. I am Puerto Rico. I am rice and beans with plátanos on the side. I am leche de coco and Bacardi rum. I am Puerto Rico. I am bilingual, a Latino who speaks fluent Spanglish. Mi apellido? Well, that's my last name is Edwards, come from my Jamaican grandfather. He taught my dad to sing, Deo, me say Deo, daylight come and me wanna go to Puerto Rico. I am Boricua, a boriqueño de la isla de Borique. I am pasteles en quenepas, relleno de papa y altafuria. I am Puerto Rico. I am also reggaeton, like Tego Calderón, Willie Colón, Miguel Piñero, Tito Puente. Esos son mi gente. You see, my culture's intact. Statehood, well, that's an American act. So don't tread on me. We already raised your flag, so I woke up. I am Puerto Rico. To my abuela y abuelito. Si no me puede entender, te lo siento, yo soy Puerto Rico. From the top of my cabello to the bottom of my feet, the food I eat, the words I speak, I am Puerto Rico. Well, Antonio, do you consider yourself Puerto Rican or African American? But you seem to identify with African American. What I say to that is, freedom of the mind is seldom traveled by the multitude. You must open your mind as well as your eyes. Only in America am I asked to choose sides. And shall I say, you see, I am Puerto Rican. The idea of my being is much larger than the color of my skin. You must inquire within. We come lily white to blue black. But some people in Puerto Rico, I do agree. They don't even know how to act. So from Cataño to Ponce y Bayamón, Puerto Rico, siempre en mi corazón. Thank you.
All right. Woo!
My name is Antonio. As I said, I'm a poet. 2009, I was named Poet Laureate of the city. I didn't even know what that was. But what it is, a person who promotes poetry in that city. It changed my life because it made me highly accountable. I had to show up for the mayor and different colleges and schools, and it really changed my life, made me highly accountable. And I got to teach poetry. I teach poetry at Ontario Montclair School District, where I walked in, and the day I came, you know, I used to teach poetry, and I would ask for the 5th and 6th graders, right? Because I could teach them about metaphors, similes. And then I walked into a school, and the teacher that was in charge, she said, yeah, you're going to be teaching the kiddos today. And I said, yeah, what grade? And she said, kindergarten. And I was like, kindergarten? Totally unprepared. I walked into the class. It was March 3rd. March 3rd is Dr. Seuss's birthday. And they've all had their Dr. Seuss stuff. And I said, what's going on, guys? And they said, it's Dr. Seuss's birthday. And guess what? March 3rd is also my birthday.
There you go.
So it was 1 fish, 2 fish, 3 fish, blue fish. Right? And I used Dr. Seuss in nursery rhymes to teach these kindergartners poetry. Totally, the planets lined up that day for me. And so poetry is everywhere. We use language and tools of poetry all the time. And poets are word benders, thought-provoking and mellifluous, capable of addressing complex subject matters in a single verse. The poet is an anomaly, deviating from the normal, abnormal, contributing to the written and verbal art form simply as a matter of speaking. The poet can surely turn a phrase, possessing the ability of saying the unsaid, expressing the inexpressible in the most uncommon sense, literally or metaphorically inscribed onto cellulose wood fibers. That's paper. Hurling words verbally through the air, creating kinetic energy. Poets' infinite possibilities of broken grammar and connotation, twisting, shifting, changing, rearranging word order, inserting line breaks and stanzas, ultimately creating its own language. The poet has the ability to coerce without a curse in his verse, and is as diverse as all the ethnicities on earth. Try saying that fast. Woo! Words are found, borrowed, or even stolen, and yet the poem is still unique. For the poet does not simply repeat that. Instead, absorbs and engages with the text, offering a new context, a contrary view, fresh and innovative, rhythmically, deliberately manipulating syllabic patterns consigned solely to poetry. Thank you. Woo! I published a book, poetry, right? It's called I Overcome. Like I said, poetry definitely changed my life. And I was just rhyming on the streets of New York. And, I thought I was gonna be the next big rapper. And I would battle people and didn't know that that poetry was part of my DNA. And I went back to college as an adult, and when my rap met academia, boom, turned into poetry, and I started to put clever words to my rhymes instead of the other stuff. Okay, give me a second here. What if you read so many books that Google begins to ask you random questions? That you become the foremost authority of all things that speak life? What if you create literature that adds new words to the world's vocabulary, multiplies our libraries and places books into hands that never held them, in front of eyes of those who've never seen the printed word before? What if for every page you read, a seed is planted that grows into another tree, providing oxygen for all living things to breathe? That those unfamiliar words begin to articulate their meaning in your own voice, leaving you no choice but to remember them? What if reading becomes as natural to you as breathing, as fulfilling to you as eating, and takes you places your imagination can never conceive on its own? What if you read in your sleep, transforming your dreams into characters and events the world had not yet seen? That you begin to write poetry that changes curriculums, challenges disciplines, and uses words in ways that unites humankind? I like to teach the world to write poetic harmony. I hope they hold them in their hearts and keep them company. What if the words you write are read like musical notes used to compose phonetic symphonies? That you begin reading the stars and far-off galaxies and discover the one to be named after you. You see, I like to teach kindergartners how to write haiku in crayon so they can go home and turn their refrigerator doors into poetic art galleries. I like to remind 7th graders, if they could only read the 3.2 billion characters in their DNA, they'll never again see themselves as ordinary. You see, reading and identifying words in print is what we call word recognition. Constructing and understanding from them is what we call comprehension. Coordinating words so that reading is automatic and accurate is a mastery called fluency. And since the brain is a muscle, then reading are like steroids for the brain. And it has been said that those who read more are generally smarter than those who read less. So in the words of the great writer and philosopher, Dr. Seuss, the more you read, the more you know, the more you learn, the more places you'll go. Woo! Thank you. Woo! Today, I was watching, the movie Love Jones. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's Lorenz Tate and Neil Long. And that's what made me start doing poetry. Because in the movie, the guy meets the girl at the bar, and then little does she know he's a poet, and they call him on stage, and he dedicates a poem to her, like right there on the spot. And when I was watching that, I said, I'm gonna do that.
Yeah.
And I started reciting poetry live after that. Let me see. We got time for one more?
Yeah.
I recited that poem from that movie. Back when it came out, it was only on VHS. So I kept rewinding the tape until I learned that poem. It's pretty, it's a little risque. This is the story of my 3rd grade teacher, Miss Wasserman. See, I love Miss Wasserman. She was my favorite teacher. Actually, when I think back, Miss Wasserman was like my first girlfriend, only she didn't know about it. I walked into class just in time to see her write her name in the upper left-hand corner of the blackboard, Miss Wasserman, and I fell in love with her writing. So I would write encouraging words on my notebook all the time. And then one day, Miss Wasserman said, Antonio, can you come up to the blackboard and write some encouraging words? And she marked out a little section on the bottom. And at first I would write things like, have a nice day, or be kind to your neighbor. But then I wanted to write her a poem. So I wrote, roses are red, daisies are yellow. Try not to hate because love is more mellow. And I left that for Miss Wasserman to read. One day, Miss Wasserman came to class with a guest. She said, class, this is Mr. Van Hoven. And in a week from Saturday, Mr. Van Hoven and I are getting married. And you are all invited to the wedding. And I looked at Mr. Van Hoven like, what? You're ready to marry my woman. So I went to the wedding. It was a beautiful wedding. They got married. Okay, good for them. And then I came to school on Monday and no longer read Miss Wasserman on the blackboard. It read Miss Van Hoven. And she taught for a while. But then she quit teaching, and to replace her was Miss Epstein. And I walked into class and no longer read Miss Van Hoven on the blackboard, and read Miss Epstein. And the section I used to write in, well, that was gone. So I was feeling distraught and sad because Miss Wasserman leaving. So I walked up to the blackboard to write something. And Miss Epstein said, Antonio, you cannot write on my blackboard. And I wrote things, good things come to those who wait. So as a consequence for writing on the blackboard, she made me write 100 times, true story, that I would not write on her blackboard. That I would not write on her blackboard. That I would not write on her blackboard. But I disobeyed. Today, I write. I write to delight. I write to delight using words to unite. I write to delight using words to unite, using words to fight. I write to delight using words to unite, using words to fight, whether happy or uptight. I write to delight, using words to unite, using words to fight when I'm happy or uptight, to express myself and shed light. I write to delight, using words to unite, using words to fight when I'm happy or uptight, to express myself and shed light. Sometimes in the day, sometimes at. That's right. I write to delight, using words to unite, using words to fight when I'm happy or uptight, to express myself and shed light. Sometimes in the day, sometimes at night, using words that are subtle and some that bite, because some words have power and some are just aight. Putting words together clever that by themselves make me trite. When I write about dead things, my writing brings them back to life. I write about sad things or awful things of life. When things are at their lowest point, my writing brings them back to height. And ladies and gentlemen, that's why I write.